Good afternoon and welcome to CellarPassTV live from HALL St. Helena. We thank you so much for joining us and kicking off our 2014 season. And we are excited as we are joined today by Steve Leveque from HALL Wines. And he's brought us some incredible wines we'll be sipping here in just a few minutes. And then we have our special guest, Joel Quigley from Jessup Cellars, who will be sharing some great information and exciting news about all the art house series they have going on and some really fun music events. But first, we want to talk about what's going on in Napa Valley right now. Well, we're kicking off Arts in April. And if you haven't heard about that, it's a 4-year now, it's going in its 4th year celebration of art and wine and how it all connects here in Napa Valley. And it's a fantastic time to visit. It goes on all month and it's full of special offers, great deals and packages at the hotels, and of course, ongoing art events throughout the entire valley. So definitely check that out. You can go to visit napavalley.com to find out more information about Arts in April. Of course, we'll be telling you a little bit about it here today. And we're honored to be featuring HALL Wines because they are quite possibly one of the most premier destinations for wine and art, and it is a great place where art is just about as important as the wines themselves. So Steve, thanks for being here.
Awesome to be here.
Excellent. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and you being the winemaker here.
Well, I'm from Napa. I grew up, born and raised in Napa, and went to school and studied genetics and realized that it was going to be a boring career path. So being a lab, yeah, being a lab 8 hours a day, I figured that's not going to work out. So moved back to Napa and started at Mondavi Winery, Robert Mondavi Winery. Worked there for 11 years, and it was like being at university. It was great. Learned so much, learned about the valley, about the vineyards, and making great wine. So it was a good introduction for me to get into the career path that I'm in. And I went over to Chalk Hill for 5 years in Sonoma, and I've been now with HALL for 6 years. And this is kind of a culmination for me of what I'm trying to do with my career. It was a unique opportunity to work with people that are so driven and passionate. The Halls, they want to make great wines, and I'm at a point right now in my career that I want to be part of that. So with all the facilities that we have, incredible winemaking facilities, great vineyards, and then really the dedication and passion of the Halls behind the brand makes it great.
That's excellent. You could have a special connection with the wines and kind of the way you like to make wines, if I'm not incorrect.
That's correct.
The way I kind of described it earlier was wine on the raw, as untouched as possible.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about where that inspiration came from and why you're doing what you're doing.
For me, I think it's important that when you want to make wines at the very highest level in Napa Valley, there's a lot of competition. It's all about trying to get the vineyards to express themselves. That's become very cliche. People talk about it all the time. It's like terroir.
Well, I haven't seen any unique outfits or decorations going on in the vineyard yet, outside of the art. But how do the wines express themselves?
Yeah, it's doing the right things in the vineyard, being very meticulous, making sure that they're getting the exact amount of sunlight, the right proportion of leaves and fruit. So it can become very technical, but it's also intuitive. So vines are plants; they're living form. They're happy or sad. You have to kind of tune into that. Then the winemaking side, I try to do things that will promote that expression. So the least amount of intervention as possible. So use native yeast. The native yeast are actually on the skins of the grapes from the vineyard. So they come in and I'll allow those yeast to ferment the juice. And then just the whole fermentation process and going through bottling, I try to be hands off so the vineyard can express itself.
So how do you know when your vines are happy or sad?
You know what? You have to give up on looking at numbers, and it's just like if you're a gardener at home and your leaves are turning yellow, there's probably an issue. Droopy,
sad leaf,
yeah, and
happy leaf.
Exactly. And you can't have overly vigorous, overly happy wines or vines rather, because if you're growing a jungle, you're not going to have great wines. So it's just being intuitive, looking at the vine, knowing if there's water stress or whatever else you might see that's an imbalance. Yeah.
Excellent. And so what got you interested in genetics early on?
Intellectually curious and fascinating, but then like I mentioned, it was, studying is great, but then when you try to translate it into career path, it's not so fun. And winemaking, I'm in the vineyard, I'm in the winery, so it's definitely a cooler gig.
Yeah, you get to work in this terrible atmosphere.
It's horrible, yeah.
Right? So, let's play a little bit with wine number 1. And this is the 2010 WALT Rita's Crown. I love the name.
Rita's Crown. So this is the 2012 vintage, and it's the current release of our Rita's Crown. It's part of the WALT portfolio, and that's another brand that we have that honors Catherine's parents, Bob and Dolores Walt, so it's her maiden name. And so we get vineyards, grapes from vineyards from Oregon all the way down to Santa Barbara. And this particular wine's from Santa Rita Hills, which is Santa Barbara County.
It smells incredible.
And it's from Rita's Crown Vineyard. And I love it because it has so much minerality, and it's not just forward fruit, in your face fruit. It has a lot of layering, distinction, complexity. There's an earthiness, there's a dustiness, which I really like. And on the palate, it's just really huge volume, really lush, opulent, and a lot of length to it as well. The wines are definitely, they're not restrained wines.
Not at all.
They're happy, joyous wines.
Happy wines.
Happy wines.
We like happy wines. And now we started getting some interaction going here already. Cellar Mistress is interested in knowing about the oak treatment for these wines that we're sampling today.
All right. So I believe in using French oak. It's quite a bit pricier than American oak, but I think it brings more subtlety and nuance.
Imported.
It's
Of course
imported.
it's more expensive.
It's way more. Like your typical barrel French oak is like $1,200, and American oak would be more like $400.
Well, have you seen the price on French perfume?
I haven't,
It's
but
pretty
I'll trust
expensive.
it. All right. So 100% French oak, and then with the Pinot Noir, I think it's important it's more fragile as a grape, so you don't want to dominate with oak. So it's going to be closer to maybe 40% new oak, depending on the strength of the vintage and the vineyard. Whereas the cabs can handle a little bit more oak. So the middle wine that we'll be tasting is the Ellie's, and that's about 60% new French oak. And then the last one, the Diamond Mountain, is more like 75%.
Oh, wow. It's very cool. Well, there's your answer, Grace. All right. And oh gosh, we got all kinds of chiming in. I love it when it gets all exciting. Flawless Crowns is cleaning out his glass in preparation for all of this goodness. And we'll get some more going here. So here at Hall, you guys have some pretty, you got some fun toys.
Definitely.
Let's just start there. And one of the things you have is your optical sorter, which is something I've seen in action. It's kind of like the eggware in Willy Wonka, like just sorts out the bad eggs.
Right.
It's phenomenal to see it in action. So tell us what it's doing and why it's so special.
It's a treat to have it, and I think we have it on our website hallwines.com where you can actually see it in action. But it's a treat as a winemaker because it's traditionally you'd use people to sort your grapes, and it's very laborious and imperfect too. And people will be sorting for 8 hours, 10 hours at a time, and it's just a thankless job. And there's going to be inherent error in that as well. People will watch grapes for 8 hours, they're not going to get every last bad berry. So the optical sorter, every time we pick a vineyard, I'll take 200 or 300 berries that I consider to be perfect, and I'll load it into the machine, it'll log it. And then as we're processing, every individual berry that's processed, there's a picture taken, and it's compared against that standard that I put in. And if it's not a perfect match, a little blast of air comes and blasts it out. So it's very Willy Wonka-ish.
It's very cool. If you have the opportunity, definitely come to Hall Wines during harvest, and you can actually see the optical sorter in action. And I'm not kidding; it's pretty phenomenal. Definitely brings a lot of excitement to harvest. Not that there's any lack of excitement in the area when there's harvest anyway. But there's all kinds of things that go on here at Hall. You guys have got, like I said, incredible art installation. It's incredible. From Bunny Fufu, who you cannot miss. The bunny is awesome. And there's a camel, and there's art in every room, and there's art everywhere. It's a fantastic place if you just want to stroll, sip your wine, and enjoy. And then for Arts in April, starting the 14th through the 21st, there is a special art tour, and I have the name of it written down. Dun, dun, dun. Well, anyway, you can art exploration tour, and you can go to hallwines.com or CellarPass and book your reservations for this tour, and you're going to get a little bit more in-depth tour of the art and the wine than maybe you would any other time of year. So it's a really fantastic way to enjoy the outdoors, really take in the art and the culture as well as the incredible wines here. And then you guys also have the Cabernet cook-off coming up.
Right.
Tell me about that. I've always seen the signs, and arguably I have not been a part of it.
That's shameful.
I know.
It's really
I
fun.
feel really bad, actually.
All right, well, it's May 18th, so you can redeem
Get my
yourself.
tickets.
Exactly. I think there's still tickets available. So we've been doing it, I think, 4 years now, and it's one thing that we do well, besides make good wines, I'm a little bit biased there, is we know how to have fun and throw a good party. So the Cabernet Cook-Off is May 18th, and we bring in local chefs, usually 8 or 10, and their goal is to create dishes that are uniquely paired with our Napa Valley Cabernet. So all the people that attend will be able to judge each of the chefs' efforts, and we'll also have a HALL judging panel. And it's great because all the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds go to local charities. So if the winning chef, or actually there's 2 winning chefs, if they win, all those monies will go to their designated local charity. So fun, there's music, great wine, great food, and
you've
it's a
got
good
some
cause.
really, headliner judges. I heard like Ken Frank from Latoque's going to be here, and I mean, it's just going to be really exciting. Yeah. Oh, I hear voices on our conference call. That's exciting. Who's online? Okay, I just heard laughing. That's awesome. All right. That doesn't work. Where did all my Twitter feeds go? I know, right? Looks like we got a question about what's your inspiration when you're creating your new releases, as far as how do you come up with the blends and the flavor profiles?
I think for the Cabernets in particular, I want a wine that is at once both rich, opulent, and approachable. And being in California, especially Napa Valley, it's a unique opportunity to get that. Where old world wines, sometimes the Cabernet, Bordeaux is the great example, might take 10, 15 years before it's approachable. Our wines, my style is such that I try to make wines that have that vineyard expression, but also are delicious up front and ready to drink, but can also age, gracefully. For our cabs can go 20 years usually.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I know being ready to drink is really important. I think as far as the American consumer goes, we're kind of like I want it now. We have no patience,
right?
And it shows. But to be able to truly enjoy a wine now and then watch it age over time is it's pretty special.
That's why you should buy 5 cases.
Right.
Drink 1 bottle right away, and then
just start playing with it
every month or so. You try it out and
come
you
back to it.
Exactly.
So get a bigger cellar and bring your black card, and you too can have a whole collection. Well, let's get into wine number 2.
Okay.
And this is
the 2011 Ellie's Cabernet Sauvignon, and it's in honor of Craig's mother, Ellie, and she was an artist and a teacher. And the label is actually one of her pieces of art, the owl. And what I'm trying to do with this wine...
Can't escape the art, can you?
Yeah, there's art everywhere. It's really cool. I mean, everywhere you look, there's cool art. But this is really Craig's inspiration in terms of his love for art was from his mother, Ellie. And of course, so I need to do the wine serious justice, so I can't screw this one up. So I'm looking really for mountain fruit, and I want it to be a good example of Napa Valley Cabernet of mountain-grown fruit. So there's going to be more of a mountain-grown fruit, has a little bit more intensity. The berries seem to be smaller, so there's just more energy to the wine, a little more structure, a little more life than what you'll find on the valley floor.
It's beautiful. Well, it's pretty hard to really compete with the WALT. That's a killer Pinot. I know. I think I will be going back to the WALT. This is really, really good.
Thank you. Yeah, it's something that we've been doing since 2007, and people love it. And this wine is available now. I know that all these wines are part of the latest club shipment.
Excellent.
But we do have limited quantities still available of all 3 of these wines.
Oh, good. Well, as I always say, membership has its privileges. So being a club member, you get first dibs on excellent wines, and you can't belong to every wine club, obviously. We all have our limits, but I always recommend finding 1 or 2 wineries that you believe in and you love, and become members, because what you're going to get is some really fascinating wines, and then of course you can always reorder for a great discount. Yep. Which is fantastic. That's good. Course. We do have some questions coming in. I'm curious to know their happiest time in the overall winemaking process. This goes back to the happy wines and happy vines.
The happy wines. For me, the happiest time is when harvest is over and I can sleep a little bit. So that's a happy time.
Do you think that's the happiest time for the vines?
For the vines, yeah, because I think so as well, because they expended all this energy, and then they gave us the great fruit, and then they can go to sleep for a while too.
Like, thank goodness.
But it's
done.
Right now it's pretty cool too, because if you look around the valley, you start looking at the plants, and you start seeing little leaves emerging from the vines. So bud breaks upon us. So that's the start of the season.
They're waking up right now.
They're waking up, and yeah, 2014 has started. So
exactly. I mean, we start seeing bud break and then tufts of leaves, and I mean, there's full leaf going on in a lot of these vineyards right now. So, so tell me a little bit about that here in Napa Valley. What is going on in the vineyards?
Bud break, and we're about 3 weeks earlier than normal. So, as a winemaker, I tend to like earlier vintages because it allows more ripening potential. The guys in the vineyard don't love it so much because there's more frost risk.
Right.
So there's, when we get cold nights, we have to go out and frost protect. So that means someone's waking up at midnight or 1 o'clock, which is not so fun.
And people are at home knitting sweaters, getting ready to wrap around the vines.
Exactly.
It's tough business here in wine country. If you can imagine all these old ladies around knitting sweaters for the vines, it's crazy. I'm just kidding.
She's kidding.
We have, going on into the 14 vintage, you said it's 3 weeks earlier than usual. Is that something that you think will play out through the whole vintage, or can it change at any point throughout the growing season?
It can change. I think the real marker is it's not bud break, but it's bloom. So when the grapes are starting to flower and they're pollinated and they set, and now you officially have grapes. Usually from that period of time until harvest is a pretty rigid, pretty static amount of time. But until that point, we get cold weather and it'll just stall things out. But we're supposed to be in the 80s this weekend, so things are going to get very happy. So
the forecast next week is looking phenomenal, and then we're going to get some more rain, which I'm not complaining. We need this rain more than anything, so I think it's pretty cool. But so would you say the vines are at their most fragile once we actually have baby grapes?
That is a fragile time, definitely. Yeah, because they need to be protected against, in Napa, and we're talking about May, June when this is happening. We can get some heat events where we can be 95, 100. So those little baby grapes, if they get exposed to all that heat, it can be bad news.
So by then, you just kind of really more even keel, gentle warming.
Yeah, if we can be 85-ish, would be great. But put
a big filter over the sun.
I know. So there's a lot of work that goes into the canopy, the management of the canopy to protect against that. So you have the leaves in the proper position, all that stuff. So we're just not at the mercy of Mother Nature.
This is true. Questions coming in. Any personal favorites?
Not a valid menu option.
All right.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Any personal favorites in terms of pairings for this particular Cabernet? And when you talk about food, like what would you be sitting down at the dinner table with if you were having this tonight?
This Cabernet. I'm not the best at food and wine pairing, but I tend to go a little bit off course and not so traditional. So I just leave it to people's own palates. This wine for me is really earthy and spicy, but yet it has a lot of tannin, so I think it's kind of begging for a protein. A red meat would be good, and maybe something with some more brown spice and earthy kind of tones. I think can really complement each other. So there is a lot of fruit here, but it's also there's an earthy, herbal, like a cassis, which can play really well for wine and food pairing. It makes it, the options are great.
Yeah, it's delicious, absolutely. I've got some questions coming in. What were some of the challenges for the 11 vintage?
The 11 vintage, and that was a tough one. There was, it's very late and very cold, so almost the opposite of what we had the last couple of years, where it's been early and more on the warm side.
Right.
So it was uniquely, it presented unique challenges for Napa Cabernet. Usually Cabernet is weatherproof, bulletproof, but it showed in 2011 with enough rain you can get some damage too. So it became a vintage where, for me, I kind of relished in it because it allowed us, with all the great facilities we have in the winemaking and the team, to really shine. All the toys, the optical sorter, which came in huge. I mean, we were sorting almost 24/7. But yeah, it was definitely a cooler year with a lot of rainfall. So the wines, and you'll see in these wines, are a little more feminine and a little more elegant in nature. In warmer, richer, warmer years, you get richer, more opulent wines. So there's more restraint to these wines, which I like that.
They're holding back a little.
They're holding back a little bit.
All right. As we progress through these wines, we've got some questions and comments coming in. I love the comments. Somebody says, "Who said bunny foo-foo?" Well, bunny foo-foo is the big silver bunny out in the vineyard, and if you come to Napa Valley and you happen to drive through St. Helena, you can't miss it. And it happens to be Craig and Catherine's children's favorite poem. As they were up in the Mendocino vineyard, they would say the poem, and you can go to the website and read all about it, but it's a very sentimental and wonderful addition to the Napa Valley as far as I'm concerned. So definitely check it out. It's fun. Get your picture taken next to it. It's huge, and just in time for Easter. So that's good timing on that one. We're going to introduce now Joel Quigley from Jessup Cellars. And Steve, you're not off the hook yet, so
right,
just hang back and enjoy the wines. And we have Joel here from Jessup Cellars, and share with us what is going on with the art house sessions and everything you've got going on over there. You've really brought some life to Yountville.
Yeah, we're doing some pretty exciting things, We have a beautiful art gallery right in town. We're like about a block up from the French Laundry. And so it's a great location.
Location.
Location. And we have a beautiful art gallery. Our winemaker is Rob Lloyd. And we actually have a curator and a resident artist, Cynthia Carey, who does amazing work. So right now we're really launching, as you know. If I know I have some friends out there. I have a thing for music, and
so I've heard
a little bit. And so we have brought in we worked with Warner Brothers Records, and we've brought in the Neil Young series. So it's very exciting, and actually next Friday, it's already sold out on CellarPass.
Yes, it is. It went fast, but you guys have got some good buzz on that. I mean, I saw you guys got picked up in Sunset Magazine.
Yeah.
You've really been drumming up the media lately, so I'm very curious. What's going on in that little building in Yountville?
Well, it's pretty exciting. So what we did was we worked with Warner Brothers Records. They have a lot of art collections from all the art that they do and from their album covers and everything. So they had just launched this Neil Young series, and I know that those people love wine, and we said, well, how about bringing one of the collections up to Yountville? And they said we have this new Neil Young series. So we've got Gary Burden, who has been Neil Young's art director for 40 plus years, and he's his collaborator. He has also done some of the most epic album covers of all time. I mean, he did Jackson Browne and Joni Mitchell, and he's very current. And
Are these going to be on display at all?
Though not those. Well, the Neil Young series is.
Right.
So what happened is that back in the day, there was an art director at Warner Brothers. Her name was Janice Hio, and Gary Burden came in with Neil. And they met.
Hey, what's up?
They fell in love, got married, and Neil was their best man in their wedding.
Oh.
So very exciting. So Janice has actually created this whole Neil Young series, and they're assemblage pieces, and they're inspired by individual songs by Neil, but all the assemblage is really inspired by the things that Neil loves. There's definitely some Lionel railroad tracks in there, as you know that
very cool.
Neil Young bought Lionel trains, so he owns that. And so anyway,
he must have the best train set of all
I guess
time.
he's got some big barn out back with just trains.
We have to see this.
Yeah, well, we're not gonna. Yeah, you got to see the art. I don't think we're gonna get to see his train set, but
one can dream.
So next Friday, what's going to happen is that we're going to launch the collection, the exhibition. It's going to run through June, and we're going to kick off the evening though with one of our tastemaker events.
Ooh, I love the tastemaker events.
Yeah, very.
These
cool.
are the best.
One-on-one.
They're so cool.
Yeah, we like to call them like mini TED Talks on wine, and and one of the funnest things is that we found out that Janice is very shy, and so she's letting Gary do the interview, and Gary is going to talk about the history and future of rock and roll album art.
Oh.
And of course, he's one of the pioneers of conceptual rock and roll art. And the great thing was we asked Gary. We said, is there somebody who could do your interview that's in media from the Bay Area? And a couple weeks later, he says, yes, I have a friend. We aren't going to put his name in the ink,
right?
But he is a Pulitzer Prize nominated novelist. He's a writer. He's a publisher, a TED Award winner, and he is going to handle the interview. So it's going to be.
Well, I can't wait to be there. I'm very excited to find out who's behind the curtain.
Yeah, that's the secret. I mean, they said really, if we had him, this guy can fill the Herbst Pavilion in San Francisco.
Oh my
so so there's only going to be about 60 people in the room.
Right, it's a very small venue, very intimate setting. I've attended most of the Art House short film series so far.
Yeah.
And they've been phenomenal, every single one, and it's fun. You get to meet the filmmakers. In this case, we're switching gears. We're heading more towards music, and then you guys have Dress to the Vines coming up. You're heading out to Muse Expo. I mean, you guys are
Live in the Vineyards.
Rocking and rolling.
Live in the Vineyards is actually going to be here tomorrow,
yes,
right?
Here at Hall. You got
at
one
Hall.
of the events
That's going to be
on.
Amazing. And then tomorrow night at 501st Street, formerly Copia, they're going to do their speakeasy after party, and Alan Stone is going to perform. And that's huge.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, there's so much going on in this valley. I'm telling you, Arts in April is when you want to be here. If you're interested in music, you're interested in art and anything of that level. Of course, the wines don't hurt. This is the time to be here. It's quiet. The weather is schizophrenic, and it makes it exciting, and it's beautiful. And definitely, you know, if you have the opportunity, come up this time, or at least put it on your calendar for next year. It's really a unique time here in the Valley. But you guys have got Dress to the Vines in June. So, let's talk about that.
Well, yeah, one of the things that we were talking about when we kind of looked around, you're always looking at opportunities to reach new people and stuff. And, we really looked at fashion, and I've been lucky enough to do some really great work with on the fashion side of things. Not that I'm fashionable, but with in the past tours with Elle magazine and things like that. And we decided that we wanted to do something that really focused on this influence that wine country now has on fashion in America.
It truly does.
I mean, wine has now become like really kind of the beverage, and
it's an accessory to every great event and every
really
wonderful conversation in an evening. You know, it's one of those things, like you don't necessarily start your day out thinking, okay, wine, what shall we do today? But in a way you kind of do, because you go, okay, what are we doing? What wine would go well with that? Right. Whether you're going to sit on the boat for the afternoon, poolside, fireside, whatever, there's usually in your mind, you're conjuring up some sort of what wine or what beverage should I have to accessorize with. And so very much so, I see where wine is absolutely influential on the fashion scene.
Oh, absolutely. And it's really changed. I mean, you just take a look at, HALL Winery and the scene.
Absolutely.
And, I've been here and luckily for some amazing events. And you want to talk, some serious style gets thrown down here.
Oh my goodness. There's no shortage of events and entertainment going on here at Hall Wines. The renovations have been phenomenal. And if you've been lucky enough to be in wine country a few times, or if you live here or close enough here, you've really saw a transformation with this property. And the recent addition of the tasting room and the Bergfield Hall are no limitation to what Hall Wines is capable of, and it's just absolutely adding beauty and intrigue and interest into this valley. And we are so thrilled that Hall is here and making amazing wines to go with it. We do have some questions and feedback, but I want to get some feedback from our audience. We actually have a studio audience. Who knew that? But they're here today, and so if there's any questions in the studio audience, feel free to shout it out. And anybody? No.
They're being shouted.
Oh my goodness, they're all pointing. No, this one. No, that one.
They're drinking their wine.
Yeah, all the glasses went up. It's crazy.
Well, while they're thinking about a question, just so on the Dress to the Vines things, it's going to be June 26th through 28th, and we have 3 days of events all through Yountville, and there's a lot of style that goes on in Yountville. Oh yeah,
this is. It is probably one of the premier shopping meccas of the valley, as far as I'm concerned. You got vintage 1870, all the shops going on there, the hippest resorts, killer food.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't go wrong.
And if you love dogs, we're actually on the Saturday of the event. We're going to start the morning. The town is really known as being stroll friendly because it's off the highway,
right?
And dog friendly. And so we're actually going to start the Saturday morning with a Dress to the Canines stroll, and we're going to stroll from Jessup Cellars and then on down to the marketplace, as you mentioned. And then but Saturday night is our big event. We're going to kick off our Fashion is Art exhibition, and Cynthia Carey, our house artist, she creates these amazing pieces inspired by fashion. And there's a lot of events going on, and we're just getting ready to announce those. And then for the backside of summer, we have our art house sessions. So we partnered with the famed Hotel Cafe in Los Angeles, in Hollywood.
Nice.
Amazing singer-songwriter talent that comes out of there, like Sarah Bareilles has come out of there and stuff. So we have five dates for that. So you can check all this stuff out and follow us on jessupcellars.com. But that's
excellent. And then, of course, you can get your tickets on CellarPass.com or go to jessupcellars.com, find out more information, and definitely stay tuned. We got some feedback. Oh, we got some food pairings coming through with the Ellie's, making us hungry. There's some ziti going on tonight. That sounds fantastic. Good choice. And we're reloading here, so we'll give it a second. But let's move on to wine number 3, shall we? Gentlemen?
Sure. This is the 2011 Diamond Mountain Cabernet. So Diamond Mountain is in the northwest corner of Napa Valley. It's up on the hillsides, as you would guess if it's Diamond Mountain. It's very unique.
No, I thought it was on the valley floor.
It's Diamond Valley floor, and that's Diamond Mountain. But it's very sparsely planted. There's only about 500 acres of vines planted.
Very small.
Tiny. It's the smallest appellation in the valley. So we have 2 growers that we work with there, and it's just an honor to get fruit from Diamond Mountain. It's unique in that it's on volcanic soils, it's rugged terrain, and the wine kind of shows that. It's similar to Ellie's, and it has that kind of tension, that energy from mountain fruit, but I think it goes to a whole different level. There's a lot of cocoa, a lot of earthy spice, chocolate, brown spice, and the tannins are huge, but they're really polished. So this is one of my go-to wines when I think about a Cabernet drink. Diamond Mountain's always on the top of the list.
Is this an 11?
This is 11. Yeah.
This is incredible. And what's the artwork associated with this bottle?
You know what?
I can only see the back.
That's true.
All right, so grab the bottle. It should be the last one there.
It's the last one here.
Ooh.
And this is, I should know this at the top of my head. There's so much
Pop
art
quiz.
around here. I know. But if you go on the back of each label of the Artisan series, it has a little mention of the art piece that's on the wine. And we have, I think there's 15 or so different artisan wines that we create, and it could change year to year, but it's really representing a special, unique, either blend or appellation or vineyard within Napa Valley. And the Hall's had this great collection of contemporary art. And there's so many pieces, and if you come to the winery, you're immersed in it. So
absolutely.
it's part of the deal. I mean, we're
Absolutely. You could actually come here several times and just see snippets and pieces of the art and never see the same thing twice. It's pretty cool. Or you could spend a whole afternoon here. Your choice. But I always recommend taking it in small doses and always have a reason to come back. My personal opinion. This is delicious. What are you thinking, Joel?
Well, I'm thinking that this has really got some ageability. I mean,
Definitely.
Again, this thing feels like it could really lay down, and I mean, it's beautiful now, but it really feels like it could go the distance.
I think so. I think it's a blessing having these great vineyards and being in Napa where you can have that approachability yet ageability as well.
Yeah, well, you go back to the whole Paris judgment thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, you do remember the whole thing in the beginning back in the 70s. They said, well, yeah, they're good now. But remember, they redid that. They redid the tasting.
Right.
Yep, and we still kick
years
booty.
ago.
And actually even did better.
Yeah.
So this beautiful thing, I mean, we all love our neighbors all around the world.
But we like ourselves better.
But at the same time,
There's no denying
I think we've
fantastic
shown
wines
that
are coming.
not only are we good up front, but we finish really well.
Right, exactly.
Right?
And that was
Absolutely.
the Paris tasting of '76. I mean, that was really the kind of the advent of Napa Valley being recognized as a world leader in Cabernet and other grapes. But yeah, I think we've proven it time and time again that not only was it wasn't just that the wines are approachable, but you can sit on these and age them and they get better and better.
They are
Yeah.
truly incredible. I can see this one's definitely at least a 3-caser. So
3 cases,
Yeah, at
exactly.
least 3 cases. Got to do it.
We have a 3-case limit starting today. So
Starting
Sounds
today,
like-
all of a sudden. So get your wines now. But we can immerse ourselves in wine all day long in the valley. We're lucky enough to be obviously in the mecca of doing that. But when you're not talking about grapes and harvest and growing seasons, what are you doing? What are your hobbies? What do you like to do?
it's sadly it's usually based around wine, but it's a lifestyle. I mean, I love to travel, and I find myself in wine country depending on where I'm going. If I go to France, I love Burgundy. For me, Burgundy's Mecca.
Ooh.
The food, the wine, the people, the cheese. I mean, it just has everything. And more, Napa's becoming that too. It's just not about wine. It's about the local produce. It's about the community of people. It's how we interact and how wine has its place within our community. So yeah, I like to travel. I go to many. I love Europe in particular, Italy, France, Spain. I love Tahoe. I go to Tahoe, hang out
Tahoe's
there.
awesome.
Yeah, I love
Tahoe,
Tahoe.
good.
If you could grow grapes in Tahoe, I'd be out of here.
We'd all be there. Be a
Talk about mountain
problem.
fruit.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
Yeah. But I think it's a little hard to grow in granite.
That'd be tough.
Yeah, so we have to
And-
figure that out. We'll have to
and
figure out the
it's,
root stock for that. And there's plenty of granite hillside to work with.
Definitely.
Tahoe's phenomenal. It is one of my happy places, as I call it. It's the Hawaii on the mainland for sure.
Exactly.
It's absolutely phenomenal. We did have a question earlier, and we're coming back to it. For the 2011 Diamond Mountain, is this 100% cab?
This wine is 100% Cabernet. We source a little bit of Malbec and Petit Verdot from Diamond Mountain as well, but typically this wine will be Cabernet. And Napa is all about Cabernet.
Yeah.
There's Carneros is great for Pinot and Chardonnay. There's some pockets for Syrah, some other varietals, but in general, it's about Cabernet. So we want to be true to that. HALL is really about Napa Cabernet and all the different appellations. So it's nice to do 100% Cab.
And then WALT, on the other hand, is pretty much...
This is not a valid menu option.
I'm telling you, this is not a valid menu option. I'm so sorry. And WALT's mostly about the Pinot and the Chardonnay.
WALT's mainly Pinot and Chardonnay, and we're looking at, outside of Napa, it's from Oregon. We get grapes from Dick and Deirdre Shea, that's Shea Vineyard, which is a pretty famous vineyard up in Oregon. And as I mentioned, all the way down to Santa Barbara and all throughout. So it's really a reflection of the Pacific influence on Pinot Noir. And it's more than any other variety. I think it really shows its colors, and it's very site specific. So depending on where you're getting the grapes, the wine will have a certain style. Like the Reader's Crown that we had, if you tried this against 3 other WALT Pinots, it'd all be very distinct, very different. The Shea and this is super deep in color, whereas the Shea is very lightly hued, and you think, wow, it's coming from the same winery. But it's really about
different
the
region, absolutely. We won't get too much into WALT today. Definitely, we will be talking to WALT later on, so check our schedule to find out when they're going to be on, and we will dive into the world of Pinot. It's fantastic, and of course, visiting the winery, if you are a Pinot fan, it is the place to go. Let's see, other questions. More Cabernet, love it, yum, yum, yum. Wow. I think they're all drinking the wine is the problem here.
That's the point, though.
I know, right? You send them wine, they're like, hey, thank you very much. What some viewers might not know is that you can actually purchase your wines ahead of time for CellarPass TV. You don't have to be a blogger to do so, but check out the schedule. You can click on it, find out where to buy the wines, and actually participate with us live online. Tweet your questions or get in on the conference call once we figure that whole mess out. And we will be chatting live even more so, but it's a fun way to talk to the winemakers, talk to us, get the feedback from other consumers around the country and maybe even around the world. We don't know. It's a fun way to explore wine every Wednesday. More on Arts in April, though. As far as what you guys have been doing, you guys obviously, there's art everywhere, so you can't escape the art. It's everywhere. What would you say your favorite part of Arts in April is?
I just the entire package, just coming and seeing it all. It's just so much to see, as you've mentioned, and it's a unique time. I think people won't be disappointed when they come and check things out.
And there's something for everyone, from be it paintings or sculptures. Music, rabbits.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. Can you believe it? They're jumping out of the vineyards.
35 feet tall, too.
It's incredible.
That rabbit is epic.
It's pretty good.
It is epic.
We love the bunny.
And it's not just for Easter.
Who polishes that? It's chrome, by the way.
That's got to be like whoever showed up late for work.
Exactly.
Has got to go out and polish the bunny.
Whoever want to haze, some interns that have been misbehaving. All right, it's rabbit duty.
Yeah.
Have a rag. Buff the bunny.
Buff the bunny.
Keep it shiny. That's awesome. But you have to check out Arts in April, see what's going on. There is an event almost every day of the week for an entire month, so there's something for everybody. And of course, when you get tired of that, hit the spas, relax, enjoy the wines. You can't beat it. I think the best part I love about April is we're in the in-between season, where we've just had incredible rainstorms, even thunder and hail yesterday, if you can believe it, and it was a red wine day. It was definitely a red wine day. Light the fire, curl up, and then we're gonna go into 80-degree weather where it's like porch wine, pool wine. Let's flip on the sun hats and move into our Sauvignon Blancs and sparkling wines. So April's a fun month in the Valley, and one of my favorite months to be here. So definitely point your car in this direction and come and see us.
Take a left at the bunny.
Take a left at the bunny, yes, and you are here. That is so funny. All right, so we're gonna get some more comments. We've got the 2011 Diamond Mountain Cab Violets and Cocoa Powder. It's a solid wine. Opened up quickly and absolutely loving it.
Great.
These are some great feedback.
Yeah, I agree. The comment about violets, I didn't mention it, but I definitely get that. Sometimes I get lavender, sometimes violets in this wine, so that was a good call.
That is that. Good palate. Way to go, Cellar Mistress. Rocking it there with the descriptions. All right. Got lots of people retweeting. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. We love you too. All right. I get the cocoa, and I'm still developing my ability to find that fragrance, find that nuance. So I always have fun with it every time. Where I'm like, yeah, I get that.
I know. Sometimes when I talk about it, I'll go on, and I realize that it's to each their own. Whatever people are smelling and experiencing
at
that's
that moment.
Legit. I mean, that's
and it can
that's
change. Obviously, that's where we get into food and wine pairings and things like that, because
Yeah.
certain flavors will bring out other nuances in the wine that you didn't even know were there. Like you add, like if you were to have like meat, let's just say a nice little roast, keep it simple, and it's salt and pepper, and it's very basic. You're going to get a certain flavor profile. Then you turn around and you throw some chili pepper into that. It's going to bring out other elements in this wine.
Definitely.
You just had no
Definitely.
idea. You're like, oh my gosh, I had no, it just awakens it. So it really depends. And then actually getting back over to what's going on with Dress the Vines, you add fragrance, which is usually a big no-no. But you guys knocked it out of the park last year with the scents and the wine pairings. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, I was a little suspect at first, but if anybody knows Mary Orland, who is the both the wine writer and the fragrance writer for Huffington Post, longtime friend, and we started discussing about Dress of the Vines, and she talked about a stylish woman. But she said that she had developed pairing fragrances with wines, and she found that when you do it right, just like with food, it works. And what it does, it allows you to actually put a focus on certain elements in the wine, and it's pretty mind-boggling.
I was skeptical too. I was like,
just
what?
blown
Okay.
away.
And even Watch the Winemaker was probably the most hysterical
yeah.
thing. His face was priceless, but it was like, holy cow!
Yeah.
It does taste like sunshine.
Yeah, and it really is amazing, and she really does this as part of, and she uses it as scent memory, and it really it helps people when they're smelling wines. They're going, well, I don't know if I necessarily get that, but then that scent really brings it forward. Just like food, though, when we were working through finding the pairings, when it's wrong, it's wrong.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing, and we're actually going to do that. We're kicking off Dress of the Vines on Thursday, June 26th at Bartisono. So they have been doing this amazing party. It's called Dive Bar. So we're partnering and we're bringing Dress of the Vines with the Dive Bar Bash. So it's about 200 people around the pool. We're going to have 4 wine stations. We're going to be pairing fragrances, and then Bartisono's spa has a new swimwear designer, and so we're going to have poolside swimwear, fashion. And that's how we're going to kick off Dress of the Vines.
Well, it sounds like a great start to an event, and to be able to do that, the scent and wine pairing again, I'm really excited to see what they come up with.
It's really
this
amazing.
year.
We decided to do it again because it was such a big hit, and not only did it blow all of us away, but it blew all of our guests away, and we figured there's a lot more people to show.
Oh my goodness, it's one of those things. I growing up in my career in the wine industry, fragrance and wine. I mean, you were flat out told, do not wear perfumes to work. It interferes with the wines. Don't do it. So when we saw this event last year, I'm like, okay, interesting, sure, let all play. And it was truly phenomenal, where you would get, all of a sudden, like the lavender would just come flooding out of a particular wine, and you're just blown away. And you're just like, no way. But when you think about it, taste is like 80% scent anyway. So it does make a lot of sense on how it all plays together. And definitely an exciting sensory experience. If you ever have the opportunity, or I'll definitely check out the schedule in June. It's worth it. And of course, being up at the Very Shishi Dive Bar is going to be an epic party for sure.
Yeah, they promised to. They're also going to. Their mixologist is going to come up with a Dress to the Vines cocktail. So it's not going to be all about Jessup.
Oh, that's very cool.
So there's going to be
cocktails, poolside,
bites, all that good stuff.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Well, it looks like we are slowing down on the commentary, and if the studio audience is... Oh, we've got a question. Right. Yes. All right, studio audience.
In Napa Valley, what is your favorite AVA?
Favorite ABA? You know, I have to be careful how I answer this. It's like, you know, saying which child's your favorite.
The good one, of course.
Yeah, in a year like 2000, the good one. A year like 2011, where there's challenging conditions to try to get ripeness, then I tend to like the warmer ABAs. It makes sense. And in warm years, I like the cooler ABAs. But for just wine enjoyment, and I think complexity and intrigue, I do like the Diamond Mountain. I think that appellation is so unique and so expressive, and the wine's just delicious. So yeah, I think Diamond Mountain's probably my favorite.
Any other questions? Nope, they're all tweeting and drinking and having a good time back there. My favorite wine this afternoon has been the WALT Pinot. Call me crazy.
Going back to that.
I do. I'm a Pinot girl, though. I mean, if anybody's watched CellarPass TV, they know that I dig the Pinots. I can't lie. I love it, especially if it's coming from Santa Rita Hills. It's even better. And so this is probably my pick, although I would never say no to either one of these cabs. And I think I will go to work figuring out different food pairings that are not red meat, because I'm totally into interesting pairings that take you outside of the meat sector. I'm not vegetarian or anything, but I think it's good to have something in your recipe book that's not meat, just in case. And sometimes you're just not craving a steak or lamb or any of the above. So I'm gonna play with that. But I think a really nice like mushroom ragu would be fantastic.
I think so. It'd bring out that spicy character, and it's interesting too. It might be, I don't know if it's unique to Napa Valley, but you know, people normally when they're drinking Cabernet are going to have with a serious meal. But I tend to be around my friends, and we just open a bottle of Cab. Hey, let's open a bottle of Diamond Mountain, and we'll just taste it. And then we start thinking after we have it open, like, this would be good with that. Let's try
play
that.
with this.
So it kind of dictates where we're heading. Where I think usually it's like we're gonna have a meal, let's pick a wine. But Napa, I think, is unique that way.
Yeah, we do start sipping our way through our menus for sure. I do want to thank all of our rockstar bloggers today for joining us, and we have Dizelle Quillen from My Vine Spot. We've got Martin Barrios from Flawless Crowns, awesome, and Grace Hoffman, our cellar mistress. Thank you all so much for being a part of this. Without you, CellarPass TV would not 100% be possible. And of course, to HALL Wines for being here today, bringing us incredible wines, and of course, being our partner for this amazing location. And for those of you who are interested in the HALL wines, because of course you are, they're incredible, you can also become a member of their wine club. So you can go to hallwines.com or call them to find out more information and easily become a member. And we want to thank Steve for being here and telling us all about these wines. Steve's quote of the day, I think, is going to become, or what he'll be, is, "To thy own fruit be true." And it's all about the fruit. And thank you to Joel and everything you guys are doing as far as the art and the music and keeping Yountville a hip, exciting place to be. We're really looking forward to what's going on over there.
Well, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. Tune in Wednesdays at 4 o'clock. This is a series. Shocking, I know. We are here, so you can go to CellarPass.com, find out more information about the show, the schedule, and how you can participate online or in person and be a part of our studio audience. We thank you for tuning in today, and we will see you very soon. Cheers.
Cheers.